Hello everybody. In this video, I want to talk about why your toxic family gives you the mushroom treatment. They keep you in the dark and feed you manure. In other words, they hide important information from you while feeding you a distorted version of reality that keeps you confused, isolated, and easier to control. When you are the black sheep of a toxic family, important conversations happen without you. Decisions are made before you are consulted, and by the time you find out what is going on, the situation has already been shaped against you. At first, it can look like forgetfulness, but when exclusion becomes a pattern, you realize it is not an accident. It is a strategy to control what you know, how you react, and where you stand in the toxic family system. The first reason toxic families keep you in the dark is to establish a hierarchy. In many toxic families, especially those controlled by a narcissistic parent, the family does not operate through fairness, honesty, or emotional maturity. It operates through loyalty. The person at the top controls approval, access, resources, and information. The people beneath them compete for favor, often by proving how loyal they are to the toxic parent's version of reality. The narcissistic parent does not always announce this ranking system openly. They create it through subtle rewards and punishments. Some siblings may receive more praise, financial support, and may be trusted with private information. Meanwhile, the black sheep is treated as an outsider, not because they are incapable of understanding serious matters, but because they are not fully loyal to the system. In a toxic family, information becomes a form of privilege. Being told something before everyone else can make a sibling feel chosen. It tells them they are close to the person with power. It gives them a sense of importance over the person being excluded. This is how the hierarchy is reinforced. The family members who cooperate with the toxic parent are brought closer, while the one who questions the dysfunction is pushed to the bottom. This is why the black sheep often finds out about important matters late. It could involve inheritance, health issues, financial decisions, family plans, or anything that affects the family structure. In a healthy family, sensitive information can be delayed for good reasons. For example, a parent may wait to share difficult news until a child finishes exams or gets through an important life moment. That is different because the intention is protection, not control. In a healthy family, the information is delayed with care and eventually shared with honesty. In a toxic family, information is withheld in bad faith. The purpose is not to protect you. The purpose is to control the power structure. The narcissistic parent decides who deserves access based on loyalty, not maturity or fairness. The favored family members are rewarded with information because they have shown that they will protect the toxic parent's image, tolerate their behavior, and participate in the family narrative. This creates a false sense of importance among the favored siblings. They begin to feel superior because they are included in conversations that exclude you. They may treat you like you are beneath them, not because they have earned that position through wisdom or morality, but because the toxic parent has given them access as a reward. Over time, this creates sibling rivalry. The favored siblings feel chosen, the black sheep feels isolated, and the toxic parent remains at the center of control. It is important to separate this from normal family privacy. Parents may have conversations between themselves. Older siblings may naturally learn certain things first. Some information may be shared based on responsibility or timing that is not automatically toxic. The issue is the repeated pattern where the black sheep is deliberately excluded even when the information affects them. In many cases, even younger or less responsible siblings may be told things while the black sheep is kept outside the conversation. That shows the issue is not maturity. The issue is loyalty to the narcissistic parent. The black sheep is often placed at the bottom because they refuse to worship the toxic parent. They may not be perfect, but they usually carry a level of authenticity that threatens the family structure. They are less willing to pretend that abuse does not exist. Because they do not fully surrender their conscience, they are denied access. Their exclusion is meant to remind them of their place and serve as an example to the rest. So when your toxic family keeps you in the dark, it is not only about the information itself, it is about status. It tells the favored siblings they are special, and it tells the black sheep they are disposable. Those who are included feel powerful. Those who are excluded are made to feel insignificant. That is how secrecy becomes a tool used to reinforce hierarchy in a toxic family system. The second reason toxic families keep you in the dark is manipulation. When people withhold information from you, they reduce your ability to make independent and informed decisions. Instead of giving you enough clarity to choose freely, they wait until you are vulnerable and then present their demands as if they are already settled. This is one of the most common tactics in toxic families. They discuss the situation behind your back, agree on what they want from you, and approach you only when the pressure is already high. By then, you are not responding to a fair conversation. You are responding to a trap that has already been set. They want you unprepared, outnumbered, and emotionally cornered. The delayed information is used as a strategy to box you in. Toxic families often reveal their real intentions when you have the fewest options. They may promise support, stay vague about the conditions, then reveal them at the most inconvenient time for you. What looked like help becomes leverage. What looked like generosity becomes control. A good example is a wedding. If a family offers financial support in good faith, they are clear about what they can do and what expectations come with it. The couple has time to decide whether the support aligns with their values. But in a toxic family, they may commit to helping and then wait until the wedding is close before attaching conditions. They may suddenly demand a different venue, a different plan, or a decision that serves their image. At that point, the couple is under pressure because money, time, and public expectations are already involved. That is manipulation because the person was not given a fair chance to make an authentic decision. If the conditions had been stated early, they could have chosen a different path. They could have reduced the cost, looked for another source of support, or planned something more aligned with what they actually wanted. By withholding information until the last moment, the toxic family limits freedom while pretending a choice still exists. I experienced this kind of manipulation personally. When I was in college, my brother, who was the golden child, said he would help me financially. On the surface, that looked like support. But during crucial moments in my school years, when I needed his support, he ignored me. Then, when I graduated, a moment that should have belonged to me, he went behind my back, organized a venue, invited people, and waited until the last moment to tell me everything had already been arranged. He then framed it as a surprise party and paid everyone's bill. Keep in mind he ignored me when I needed financial assistance that he pledged. That was not genuine celebration. It was control. He wanted to take credit for my own accomplishment. This is how toxic family members can turn your milestones into stages for themselves. They do not always celebrate you as an independent person. Sometimes they use your achievement to promote their own importance. They want to be seen as the reason you made it, the one who carried you, or the one who deserves credit. Yet they were the most unreliable. The background interactions among toxic family usually promote this kind of toxic behavior. The narcissistic parent may feed the favored sibling a story that makes them feel superior. They may suggest that the black sheep only succeeds because of their help. Over time, the golden child can start believing this narrative because it benefits their self-esteem and protects their special position in the family. That is why the golden child can become one of the dangerous flying monkeys in the toxic family system. Dangerous because they often act as an extension of the toxic parent. They gather information, report back, and participate in decisions that will have long-term effects on your life. The golden child may also lose their ability to think independently. When a person is rewarded for loyalty over truth, they begin to measure right and wrong by what protects their position. They stop asking whether something is fair and start asking whether it benefits the toxic parent or keeps them in favor. This is how narcissistic behavior continues through the family. The toxic parent rewards imitation, and the favored child learns that control, entitlement, and manipulation are acceptable as long as they serve the system. So when a toxic family keeps you in the dark, it is often because they want to control your reaction. They do not want you to prepare, compare options, or make decisions from a place of strength. They want to introduce information when it gives them the greatest advantage. For the black sheep, this becomes especially common because they are likely to make authentic decisions if given enough time and clarity. In this case, secrecy is used to weaken that independence. The best defense to this kind of manipulation is to use the "let me think about it" strategy. The third reason toxic families keep you in the dark is to create disunity. The hierarchy and manipulation are not random. They are part of a divide and conquer strategy. When family members are competing for access, approval, and special treatment, they are less likely to unite around the truth. They are too busy protecting their position to question the person controlling the system. A narcissistic parent does not want a truly united family because real unity would create accountability. They may talk about family loyalty, but what they usually mean is loyalty to them. Healthy family unity is built on honesty, respect, and shared values. Toxic family unity is built on silence, compliance, and blind loyalty to the narcissistic parent. This is why secrecy is so useful in a toxic family. Different people receive different versions of reality. One sibling is praised, another is ignored and framed as the problem. The family becomes fragmented, and the toxic parent is not held accountable. Nobody is able to compare notes honestly because everyone is operating from a different position in the hierarchy. When there is disunity, the black sheep is left vulnerable and becomes the easiest target. Attention is redirected away from the toxic parent and placed on the person who refuses to conform. The black sheep becomes sensitive, difficult, ungrateful, or too rebellious for being authentic. Meanwhile, the deeper dysfunction remains protected because the family has been trained to focus on the scapegoat instead of the source of the problem. The black sheep threatens the system because their authenticity exposes what the family is trying to hide. A person who can see the manipulation clearly is harder to control. A person who refuses to normalize emotional abuse is harder to silence. A person who does not worship the parent is harder to absorb into the system. That is why the family must keep them isolated, misinformed, and blamed. If the siblings were united by morality, they would eventually recognize the pattern. They would see that the issue is not the black sheep's personality. The issue is the favoritism, secrecy, manipulation, and scapegoating. But toxic families reward loyalty over morality. As long as a sibling protects the dominant parent's image, their behavior will always be excused. It is a hidden transaction. They can lie, steal, cheat, or sabotage, and the system will still protect them because they resemble each other. Being kept in the dark is damaging because it affects more than information. It affects your confidence, your decision-making, your sense of belonging, and your ability to trust the family. From my personal experience, these are three major reasons toxic families keep you in the dark. They do it to establish a hierarchy that serves them. They do it to manipulate you to do what is favorable for them. And they do it to create disunity, so the family never becomes honest enough to hold the real source of dysfunction accountable. Going no contact helped me understand this from a distance. When you are inside the system, you keep trying to prove that you deserve honesty. You hope they will include you. You think that if you explain yourself better, they will treat you fairly. But distance gives you clarity. The secrecy was not accidental. The exclusion was not random. The manipulation was not a misunderstanding. It was part of how the family maintained power. Once you see that, you stop playing their toxic games. A healthy family may delay information for good reasons, but a toxic family withholds information to protect the narcissist. That difference matters. Once you understand that difference, you stop trying to be part of a system that was rigged against you.